Did you know that putting certain foods in the fridge can actually ruin their taste, feel, and even make them harmful to eat? While many think the refrigerator is the best spot to keep almost everything, the truth is this habit could be doing more damage than good. For example, have you ever wondered why your tomatoes turn mushy or why your potatoes taste sweeter than normal? These changes often happen because of wrong storage. For elders, understanding how to store food correctly is not just about ease. It's an important step toward keeping health, stopping food-related sicknesses, and cutting down waste. The way you keep your food directly affects its freshness, food value, and overall safety. In this guide, we'll show 10 everyday foods that should never be stored in the refrigerator, explain why they don't belong there, and give useful tips to help you keep them fresh the right way. Are you ready to learn how small changes in your food storage habits can make a big difference in your health and quality of life? Let's begin. Some of these might shock you, but by the end of this video, you'll understand why 8 foods you shouldn't store in the refrigerator. If you want to make the most of your golden years, this is information you can't ignore. Stay until the end because the final point we'll cover is something almost everyone forgets, and it could make all the difference. I know you're someone who enjoys watching videos quietly, but please give me a like and join our channel because you're a kind person. If the video is helpful, comment 1. If it's not good enough or needs improvement, comment 2. Thank you, everyone. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Why proper food storage matters for seniors. I remember a story about my friend Margaret, who's in her early 70s and loves cooking for her grandchildren whenever they visit. One day, she made a beautiful salad with fresh tomatoes, but when her grandson took a bite, he frowned and said, "Grandma, why are the tomatoes so mushy?" Margaret was confused. She had just bought them a few days ago and stored them in the fridge to keep them fresh. What she didn't realize was that putting tomatoes in the refrigerator can actually ruin their texture and flavor. This small mistake not only affected her dish, but also made her feel like she wasn't giving her family the best she could. For seniors like Margaret and all of us over 60, proper food storage is about more than just keeping food edible. It's about saving the quality, taste, and nutrients of the food we eat. As we age, our body defenses naturally weaken, making us more open to food-related illnesses caused by spoiled or wrongly stored food. A simple mistake like cooling something that shouldn't be or leaving something out too long can lead to needless health risks. Beyond health, proper food storage also helps us make the most of our groceries. Let's be honest, many of us grew up in a time when wasting food was almost unthinkable. Learning how to store food correctly means fewer trips to the store, less money spent on replacements, and less food going to waste. For example, instead of putting bread in the fridge, which dries it out, you can keep it in a bread box or freeze it if you won't finish it quickly. It's these small changes that make a big difference. And let's not forget the joy of eating food that tastes as fresh as the day you bought it. When you store fruits, vegetables, and other ingredients the right way, you're not just extending their shelf life. You're making your meals better and making every bite more enjoyable. After all, food is one of life's great pleasures, and we deserve to enjoy it at its best. So as we look at the foods that shouldn't be stored in the refrigerator, think about how these tips can help you protect your health, save money, and enjoy your meals even more. Let's move on to the first group: foods that lose their flavor and texture in the fridge. You might be surprised by what's on the list. Number 2, foods that lose flavor and texture in the fridge. Let's face it, there's nothing more disappointing than biting into a tomato that's lost its juicy, bright flavor, or cutting into a loaf of bread that's gone dry and crumbly. Believe it or not, the refrigerator is often the cause. While it's tempting to throw everything into the fridge to keep it fresh, some foods actually suffer when kept in cold temperatures. Take tomatoes, for example. When you cool them, their texture becomes grainy, and they lose that delicious sweet taste we all love. Instead, keep your tomatoes on the counter in a bowl or basket where they can stay plump and flavorful. Another common mistake is putting bread in the fridge. Though it might seem like a good idea to prevent mold, cold air dries bread out much faster, leaving you with slices that are hard and stale. If you're not going to eat your bread right away, think about freezing it instead. It'll stay fresh for weeks, and you can thaw a slice whenever you need it. Potatoes are another food that doesn't belong in the fridge. The cold temperature causes their starches to change into sugar, which gives them an odd sweetness and makes them gritty when cooked. To keep your potatoes fresh, store them in a cool, dark place like a pantry or cupboard. And don't forget to keep them away from onions. When stored together, both spoil faster. Even fruits like bananas and avocados are better off at room temperature. Cooling bananas can cause their peels to turn black and their texture to become mushy. Avocados, on the other hand, need time to ripen before they're chilled. If you cool them too early, they may never soften properly. Once they're ripe, feel free to put them in the fridge to extend their shelf life for a few more days. These simple changes can make a big difference in how your food tastes and feels, helping you enjoy meals that are fresher and more satisfying. Plus, it's a great way to reduce waste. No more throwing out bland, spoiled food. Now that we've talked about flavor and texture, let's talk about something even more important: foods that can actually become harmful when stored in the fridge. In the next part, we'll explore how wrong storage can lead to toxins or other risks and how you can avoid them. Stay tuned. Number 3. Foods that can become harmful when refrigerated. Did you know that some foods can actually become unsafe to eat when stored in the refrigerator? It's true. While the fridge is great for keeping many items fresh, there are certain foods that react poorly to cold temperatures, possibly turning them into health risks. For older adults who may already have more sensitive body defenses, it's especially important to know which foods to keep out of the fridge. Let's take a closer look at a few surprising examples. First on the list is garlic. If you've ever stored garlic in the fridge, you may have noticed it sprouting or developing a strange moldy smell. Cold, damp places encourage mold growth on garlic, and if eaten, it could lead to stomach issues or, worse. Instead, store garlic in a cool, dry place like a pantry or a countertop basket. A ceramic garlic keeper with air holes works wonders for keeping it fresh for weeks. Another food that doesn't belong in the fridge is potatoes. While we've already talked about how cooling can change their texture and sweetness, it's also worth mentioning that cold storage can increase the risk of acrylamide formation when potatoes are cooked at high temperatures like frying or roasting. Acrylamide is a chemical that can be harmful in large amounts. To avoid this, store your potatoes in a dark, well-aired space away from the fridge. Honey is another surprising one. While honey doesn't necessarily become harmful in the fridge, it does crystallize and harden, making it difficult to use. Honey is naturally antibacterial and can last for years when stored properly at room temperature in a sealed container. There's no need to refrigerate it. Cooking oils, particularly olive oil, also don't do well in the fridge. Cold temperatures can cause the oil to solidify and form cloudy clumps. While this doesn't make the oil harmful, it can change its quality and make it harder to use. Keep your oils in a cool, dark cabinet instead, and they'll stay in perfect condition. Even fruits like melons and citrus can pose a risk if refrigerated after being cut, but not properly sealed. The damp environment of the fridge can encourage bacteria to grow on the exposed surface, which could lead to food-related illnesses. Always store cut fruits in airtight containers to keep them safe and fresh. By learning how to store these foods correctly, you're not just preserving their quality, you're also protecting your health. It's a simple yet powerful way to take control of your kitchen and make sure every meal is as safe and delicious as possible. Now that we've covered foods that can become harmful in the fridge, let's move on to something equally important: how to make food last longer without refrigeration. You'll be amazed at how easy it is to keep your favorite foods fresh with just a few clever storage tips. Let's dive in. Number 4. The role of freshness in a healthy diet. For seniors, freshness isn't just about taste. It's about feeding your body with the best that food has to offer. For seniors, eating fresh, high-quality food can make a world of difference in maintaining good health, energy levels, and overall well-being. When food is fresh, it keeps more of its natural nutrients, which are essential for keeping your body strong and your immune system working its best. Take fruits and vegetables, for example. Fresh produce is packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that help fight off illness and keep your body working properly. However, when these foods are stored wrongly or kept for too long, they start to lose their nutrients. A fresh apple, for instance, is full of vitamin C, but after sitting in the fridge for weeks, it may not provide the same benefits. That's why it's so important to store your produce properly and eat it while it's still at its peak. Freshness also plays a big role in digestion. Foods that are overly processed, stale, or poorly stored can be harder for your body to break down, leading to discomfort or digestive issues. On the other hand, Fresh, wholesome foods are easier on your stomach and provide the fiber and nutrients your body needs to stay regular and healthy. Think of a crisp salad made with freshly picked greens or a bowl of perfectly ripe berries. These foods not only taste better but also feel better in your body. Another reason to prioritize freshness is the joy it brings to your meals. There's something truly satisfying about biting into a juicy peach or savoring a piece of freshly baked bread. When your food tastes good, you're more likely to enjoy eating and to maintain a healthy appetite, which is especially important for seniors who may struggle with appetite changes. Make sure you're getting the freshest food possible. Try shopping locally whenever you can. Farmers markets are a wonderful place to find fruits and vegetables that were picked just days or even hours ago. Not only will you enjoy better tasting food, but you'll also be supporting your local community. By focusing on freshness, you're giving your body the best chance to thrive. But freshness isn't just about nutrients. It's also about safety. In the next section, we'll dive into foods that can become harmful if stored incorrectly and how you can protect yourself and your loved ones. Let's keep going. Number 5. Quick tips for storing food correctly. Storing food the right way doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, with just a few simple tips, you can keep your groceries fresher for longer and enjoy meals that taste better too. Let's go over some practical, easy-to-follow advice that you can start using today. First, let's talk about dry goods like coffee and nuts. Did you know that storing these in airtight containers can make a huge difference? Coffee beans, for example, can lose their rich smell if exposed to moisture or air. So keeping them in a sealed container in a cool, dark place will help preserve their flavor. Similarly, nuts can go stale or even spoil if left in open bags. By sealing them tightly and storing them in the pantry or even in the freezer for long-term storage, you'll always have a fresh handful ready for snacking or cooking. Next, let's look at fruits and vegetables. Bananas, avocados, and citrus fruits are best stored on the counter where they can ripen naturally. If you've ever put bananas in the fridge, you've probably noticed their peels turning black. This happens because the cold stops the ripening process. For avocados, let them ripen at room temperature first, and once they're soft, you can refrigerate them to keep them fresh a little longer. For leafy greens, wrap them in a damp paper towel and store them in a breathable bag in the fridge too. Keep them crisp and prevent wilting. When it comes to eggs, here's a quick tip. In the US, eggs should always be refrigerated to prevent bacteria growth. However, avoid storing them on the refrigerator door. The constant opening and closing cause temperature changes, which can reduce their freshness. Instead, keep them on a middle shelf where the temperature stays more steady. Another common mistake is cramming the fridge. When your refrigerator is too full, air can't flow properly, which means some foods might not stay as cool as they should. Try to organize your fridge so that items are easy to see and reach. This will also help you avoid forgetting about that container of leftovers hiding in the back. Finally, don't forget to label and date your food. This is especially helpful for leftovers or items you've moved to new containers, like sauces or soups. A simple label with the date can help you track how long something has been stored and reduce waste by ensuring you use it before it goes bad. With these quick and easy tips, you'll not only save money by making your groceries last longer, but also enjoy meals that are fresher and more flavorful. And speaking of freshness, in the next section, we'll explore how you can make food last longer without relying on the fridge. Get ready for some creative and practical solutions. Number 6. Common mistakes to avoid in food storage. We've all been there, trying our best to keep food fresh, only to realize later that something went wrong. Maybe your fridge feels packed, or you notice your onions sprouting faster than usual. Don't worry, these common mistakes happen to everyone. The good news is that with a few small changes, you can avoid these pitfalls and make your food last longer while keeping it safe and delicious. One of the biggest mistakes people make is cramming the refrigerator. When your fridge is packed to the brim, cold air can't move properly, which means some foods might not stay as cool as they should. This can lead to uneven cooling and faster spoiling. A simple fix: organize your fridge so there's enough space for air to flow. Try grouping similar items together, like dairy on one shelf and fruits and vegetables in their designated drawers. Not only does this help with cooling, but it also makes it easier to find what you need. Another common error is chilling canned foods after opening them without moving them to a proper container. Once a can is opened, the The metal can react with the food, possibly changing its taste or even making it unsafe to eat. To avoid this, transfer leftovers from cans into glass or plastic containers with tight-fitting lids before placing them in the fridge. It's a simple step that can make a big difference in keeping your food fresh and flavorful. Storing onions and potatoes together is another mistake many people don't realize they're making. While they might seem like a natural pair, potatoes release moisture and gases that can cause onions to spoil faster and vice versa. Instead, store them separately in a cool, dark place like a pantry or cupboard. This will help extend their shelf life and keep them tasting their best. Lastly, don't forget about the importance of labeling and organizing your food. It's easy to lose track of leftovers or forget when you bought that carton of milk. A quick solution: use a marker or sticky notes to label containers with the date you opened or prepared them. This way, you'll always know what needs to be eaten first, helping you reduce waste and avoid eating anything past its prime. By avoiding these common mistakes, you'll not only save money and reduce food waste, but also enjoy meals that are fresher and more nutritious. Plus, the peace of mind that comes from knowing your food is stored properly is priceless. Now that you've learned how to avoid these storage blunders, let's move on to something even more exciting: how to make your food last longer without relying on the fridge. In the next section, we'll share creative tips and tricks to keep your pantry staples and fresh produce in top shape for longer. Let's keep going. Number 7. How to make food last longer without refrigeration. You might be surprised to learn that many foods can stay fresh and delicious without ever seeing the inside of your refrigerator. With just a few simple tricks, you can extend the life of your favorite ingredients while keeping them flavorful and ready to use. Let's explore some practical tips that are easy to follow and perfect for making the most of your groceries. For starters, let's talk about herbs. Fresh herbs like cilantro, parsley, and basil can wilt quickly if left in a plastic bag or tossed in the fridge. Instead, treat them like flowers. Trim the stems and place them in a glass of water, just like you would with a bouquet. Keep the glass on your kitchen counter, and if you loosely cover the herbs with a plastic bag, they'll stay fresh for days longer. It's a simple trick that not only preserves their flavor, but also adds a touch of greenery to your kitchen. Root vegetables like carrots, beets, and radishes are another example. If you're tired of them going limp in the fridge, try storing them in sand or sawdust in a cool, dry place like a pantry or basement. This old-fashioned method works wonders for keeping them crisp and fresh for weeks. And don't forget to remove the leafy tops before storing. Those tops draw moisture away from the roots, causing them to spoil faster. When it comes to bread, a bread box is your best friend. It provides the perfect environment to keep your bread soft and fresh without drying it out. If you know you won't finish a loaf in time, slice it up and store it in the freezer. That way, you can take out just what you need, and it'll taste as good as the day you bought it. Fruits like bananas, apples, and citrus also thrive outside the fridge. Bananas, for instance, ripen best at room temperature, and separating them from the bunch can help slow down the ripening process. Apples and citrus fruits can be kept in a fruit bowl on the counter, where they're not only easy to grab for a snack, but also add a cheerful pop of color to your kitchen. Lastly, don't forget about onions and garlic. These pantry staples prefer a dry, well-aired space to stay fresh and flavorful. Store them in a mesh bag or a basket, and they'll last much longer than if they're tucked away in the fridge. Just make sure to keep them away from potatoes to prevent both from spoiling quickly. By using these simple storage methods, you'll not only save money and reduce waste, but also enjoy the full flavor and quality of your food. Plus, it's incredibly satisfying to know you're making the most of what you have. Now that you've learned how to keep your food fresh without relying on the fridge, let's take a moment to look at the bigger picture. In the next section, we'll explore how proper food storage benefits not just your health and wallet, but also the environment. Let's dive in. Number 8. The environmental and financial benefits of proper food storage. Did you know that storing your food the right way doesn't just help you? It helps the planet too. Every time we throw away spoiled food, we're not just wasting money, but also all the resources that went into growing, transporting, and packaging that food. For seniors on a fixed income, learning how to make groceries last longer is a smart way to stretch your budget while also doing something positive for the environment. Think about it. When you store food properly, you're less likely to let it go bad before you have a chance to enjoy it. For example, instead of refrigerating bananas, which can turn black and mushy, keeping them on the counter allows you to enjoy them at their peak ripeness. If they start to overripen, you can freeze them for smoothies or baking instead of tossing them out. That's money saved and waste avoided. Proper food storage also means fewer trips to the grocery store. When your potatoes, onions, or bread last longer, you won't need to replace them as often. This not only saves you time and effort, but also reduces the fuel and energy used in transportation, both yours and the store's. It's a small change, but when many people make small changes, it adds up to a big impact on the environment. And let's not forget about the joy of reducing waste. There's something deeply satisfying about knowing you've made the most of what you have. Instead of feeling guilty about throwing out spoiled food, you can take pride in using every last bit. For instance, leftover herbs can be turned into pesto or frozen in olive oil for later use. And stale bread can become croutons or breadcrumbs. These little habits not only save money, but also add variety and creativity to your meals. Being mindful of how you store your food, you're not just helping your wallet. You're contributing to a healthier planet for future generations. It's a win-win situation that feels good on every level. Now that we've explored how proper food storage benefits your finances and the environment, let's dive into some practical tips you can start using today to make your food last longer and stay fresher. Ready to take control of your kitchen? Let's move on. Conclusion as we wrap up. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. Proper food storage isn't just about keeping your kitchen organized. It's about preserving the flavors you love, protecting your health, saving money, and even helping the planet. These small changes in how you store your food can have a ripple effect, creating a more sustainable, enjoyable, and stress-free way of living. Think about it. By simply keeping your tomatoes on the counter instead of in the fridge, or by freezing leftover bread instead of letting it go stale, you're making choices that add up. You're reducing waste, stretching your grocery budget, and ensuring that every meal you prepare is as fresh and delicious as possible. These are small, doable steps that anyone can take, no matter their age or lifestyle. For older adults, these habits are especially empowering. They give you the tools to take control of your kitchen, reduce unneeded trips to the store, and make the most of what you have. It's not just about food. It's about creating a sense of independence, satisfaction, and pride in the choices you make every day. And let's not underestimate the joy that comes from knowing you're doing your part for the environment. By wasting less, you're contributing to a healthier, more sustainable world for future generations. It's a reminder that even the smallest actions, like storing potatoes in a cool, dark place or keeping bananas on the counter, can make a big difference. As you move forward, I encourage you to take what you've learned here and put it into practice. Start with just 1 or 2 changes and see how it feels. Maybe you'll notice your produce lasting longer, your meals tasting better, or your grocery bill shrinking. Maybe you'll feel a sense of achievement in knowing you're wasting less and saving more. Whatever the outcome, know that every step you take is a step in the right direction. Remember, it's never too late to learn something new or to make positive changes in your life. Your kitchen is your space, and with a little care and attention, it can become a place of joy, creativity, and nourishment. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Here's to fresh food, happy meals, and a brighter future for all of us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to support our channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future content. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next video.